What happens when a grieving mother is told to leave her home, at her own son's funeral? Gloria stayed quiet, but she wasn't powerless. What she did next left everyone in the family stunned. The sky that morning was the color of wet ash, heavy and unmoving. Gloria stood at the far end of the burial plot, her black shawl drawn tightly around her shoulders, her gloved hands gripping a small bouquet of white lilies. The priest's voice blurred into the background as she stared at the casket, trying to grasp the finality of what lay before her. Her son, David, was gone. 39 years old. A father, a husband, and her only child. The stroke had come suddenly in the middle of the night. No warning, no goodbye. One day he was helping her change a light bulb, the next he was in the ground. Mourners slowly trickled away, their condolences a low murmur in the wind. Gloria didn't move. She couldn't. Her legs, like the soil beneath her feet, felt too solid to lift. "Gloria," a voice called out, sharp against the gray silence. "Can I have a word?" It was Marie, David's widow. Gloria turned slowly. Marie's face was unreadable behind dark sunglasses. A silk black dress clung to her too tightly, as though she dressed more for a gala than a funeral. Her voice was flat, businesslike. "I know this is a difficult time," Marie began. "But we need to talk about the house." Gloria's breath caught. "What about it?" Marie glanced over her shoulder to make sure no one was nearby, then stepped closer. "I'll be putting it on the market by the end of the month. I think it's best for everyone." Gloria blinked. "Putting it on the market? Marie, that's my home. David asked me to move in after his surgery last year. I've been there every day since." "Yes, well," Marie replied, lowering her voice even more, "things are different now. David and I bought that house together. You've always been a guest, Gloria. I hope you understand." Gloria took a slow step back, her voice shaking. "You're talking to me about eviction. At your husband's funeral." Marie's lips tightened into a thin, humorless line. "I'm talking to you about reality." Gloria stood in stunned silence as Marie turned and walked away, heels clicking briskly over the uneven stone path like punctuation marks. The rest of the crowd had dispersed, unaware of the conversation that had just changed the entire landscape of Gloria's life. That night, Gloria returned to the house, her house, quietly. Marie had gone to stay with her sister for a few days, claiming she needed space. Gloria took off her shoes at the door and moved through the hallway in darkness, feeling like an intruder in the home she had helped maintain for nearly a year. She entered David's study and sat in his chair. The smell of his cologne still lingered faintly in the upholstery. On the desk were unopened bills, medical documents, and his old planner, still marked with reminders to call her, to pick up groceries, to check the gutters. Her throat tightened. She opened the bottom drawer. Inside was the file David had once told her to keep safe, just in case. It was a thick manila folder with a sticky note labeled house/mortgage/deed. She set it on the desk and opened it. Inside were years of mortgage payments, refinancing agreements, and one legal document she hadn't known existed. A quitclaim deed, signed and notarized 6 months before David died. Gloria read the fine print slowly, her fingers trembling. David had transferred a 50% ownership share of the house to her name. She leaned back in the chair, exhaling slowly, the weight of grief still heavy on her chest, but now joined by something else. A slow, quiet fire of focus. The next morning, Gloria went to the county registrar's office. She requested the most recent title on the property. The clerk confirmed what she had already seen. "You're listed as joint owner," the woman said, sliding the paper across the counter. "Everything looks current." Gloria nodded slowly, folded the document neatly, and placed it in her bag. Her hands still shook, but not from fear. When she returned to the house, she cleaned. Methodically. Room by room. Dusting the frames that held David's childhood pictures, vacuuming the rug in the front hallway, polishing the banister he used to slide down as a boy. She folded her clothes into perfect squares. She boiled water for tea. She sat on the porch and let the evening light fall over her. Marie had told her to get out. But Gloria wasn't going anywhere. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not until someone forced her. And even then, only over her cold, dead body. She looked out at the quiet street, a soft wind brushing through the leaves. They thought they could cast her out like she didn't matter. But they were wrong. She mattered more than they'd ever realized. And soon enough, they would see exactly why. 2 days later, Marie returned. The sound of her car pulling into the driveway cut through the stillness of the late afternoon. Gloria stood at the kitchen sink, rinsing a mug, watching through the window as Marie stepped out in oversized sunglasses and a dark trench coat, the kind she used to wear only on trips downtown. She didn't knock. She entered with a flourish, tossing her keys into the crystal bowl by the door. Gloria turned slowly. "I thought you were staying with your sister longer," Gloria said, drying her hands. Marie gave a half-smile. "Plans change." She looked around. "House looks clean. You've been keeping busy." "I live here," Gloria said simply. Marie's smile didn't waver, but her eyes narrowed ever so slightly. "We need to set some timelines, Gloria. I've already spoken to a real estate agent. He's preparing the listing." Gloria placed the mug on the table, hands folded neatly in front of her. "I'll need to see the will first." Marie blinked. "Excuse me." "The will," Gloria repeated. "David's will. I'd like to read it." Marie's face shifted. "Slightly, but enough." "There's no need," she said quickly. "It's all standard. I'm the executor. Everything goes to me and the kids." Gloria didn't move. "You're sure about that?" Marie hesitated, only for a second, but it was enough. "I'm calling David's lawyer," Gloria said. "Today." Marie scoffed. "That's unnecessary. Why make things ugly?" "Because you already did," Gloria replied. Marie's mouth opened, then closed again. Without another word, she turned and walked toward the stairs. Gloria picked up the phone. The lawyer, Mr. Langley, was an older man with a slow, deliberate voice and a memory sharp as a tack. He remembered David fondly. "Yes, Mrs. Callahan. I have the documents here. Would you like to come in?" "Yes," Gloria said. "Today." She sat in the legal office later that afternoon, hands steady in her lap. Mr. Langley flipped through a thin leather folder before passing her a copy. David's will was simple. Most of his estate, including his savings and his car, had been left to Marie and the children. But the house, that was different. "He made the deed change just after the last surgery," Mr. Langley said. "He told me he wanted to ensure his mother was secure. He was very specific. The house was to remain with both of you. Joint ownership, as outlined in the documents." Gloria nodded. "Marie says she plans to sell it." "She can't," Langley replied. "Not without your consent." Gloria took a breath. "Good." When she returned home, Marie was in the living room on a video call, whispering intensely. Gloria walked past her and up the stairs without a word. In her room, she sat at her desk and began to organize her papers. Mortgage documents. Title records. Her legal confirmation from the registrar's office. And now the will. She placed everything into a file folder, neatly labeled. She was not preparing for war. She was documenting the truth. The next morning, Marie made her move. Gloria woke to the sound of boxes being stacked. Marie had hired movers, 2 men in uniforms already carrying items out of the den. "What is this?" Gloria asked, stepping into the hallway. Marie didn't look at her. "We're downsizing. I told you. The house is going on the market next week." "You can't sell what you don't own," Gloria said firmly. Marie turned sharply. "I own half. I have the majority claim." "No," Gloria corrected. "You don't. David changed that. I have documentation. You need my signature to list this house. And I'm not giving it." Marie's jaw clenched. "You really want to fight me on this?" "I'm not fighting," Gloria said. "I'm holding my ground." Marie barked an order at the movers. "Hold off for now." They paused mid-step, holding a lamp and a box of books. The house fell into a strange stillness again, the only sound the ticking of the wall clock. Gloria turned to go make tea. Behind her, Marie's voice hissed, "You're making a mistake." But Gloria didn't answer. She wasn't going to play games. She had no need to shout or slam doors. She had the papers, the law, and more importantly, she had the truth. The funeral had been her son's goodbye. This was Gloria's reawakening. And she wasn't going anywhere. The days that followed were brittle with silence. Gloria moved through the house with quiet dignity, her every step echoing like a warning bell through the halls. Marie had withdrawn into herself, making hurried phone calls behind closed doors and avoiding Gloria's gaze like it might burn her. But Gloria noticed everything. The real estate brochures left on the kitchen counter. The whispered conversations with her sister on the back porch. The way the mover's card had disappeared from the drawer where Marie had hidden it. Gloria said nothing. She didn't need to. The silence was a strategy now, a mirror Marie couldn't stop looking into. One afternoon, while Marie was out with the children, Gloria returned to David's study. She hadn't stepped inside since the last time she read through the deed. The room still smelled faintly of aftershave and printer ink. His favorite pen, the one with the brass nib and black lacquer finish, sat untouched on the desk. She opened the filing cabinet. Marie had cleared most of it out, David's paperwork, his project notebooks, even the framed certificates he used to keep proudly on display. But tucked in the very back of the lowest drawer was a slim folder labeled Contingency. Gloria opened it slowly. Inside were photocopies of his will, a notarized letter to Mr. Langley outlining changes in case of emergency, and another document she hadn't seen before, a letter addressed to Marie. Handwritten. She read it. Marie, if you're reading this, it means something has happened to me. I need you to understand that my mother has been the cornerstone of our family, especially these last few years. I couldn't have gotten through recovery without her. Please treat her with kindness. This house is her security too. That's why I changed the deed. It wasn't just about protection, it was about recognition. Don't ever forget what she's done for us. David. Gloria folded the letter carefully, slid it back into the folder, and placed everything in her personal lockbox. She didn't trust Marie not to destroy it. That evening, when Marie returned, Gloria was sitting at the dining table with her tea. Marie paused in the doorway. "Why are you always here?" she asked bitterly. "Like you're waiting for something." Gloria looked up slowly. "I'm waiting for you to stop pretending this house doesn't belong to me, too." Marie's face twisted. "You think just because David gave you some paper, it makes you family again?" "I never stopped being family," Gloria replied. "But you made that optional." Marie laughed coldly. "I'm raising 2 children. I'm a widow. And you're what? Claiming your throne." "I'm asserting my right," Gloria said calmly. "That's what David wanted. I have proof. And deep down, you know it." Marie stormed off, but Gloria didn't flinch. She stayed at the table, sipping her tea as the house groaned beneath the weight of the storm outside. The next morning brought visitors, unexpected ones. Marie's sister, Janine, arrived first. A tall woman with sharp eyes and sharper opinions. She marched into the living room and barely offered Gloria a nod. "I hear there's a dispute," Janine said bluntly. "Marie says you're making things difficult." "I'm asserting my legal rights," Gloria replied evenly. Janine crossed her arms. "You know how hard this has been on her, right? I also know what David intended. And I will not let anyone rewrite his wishes. Not you, not her, not anyone." Janine sneered. "You think a piece of paper makes you invincible?" "No," Gloria said. "But it makes me undeniable." Janine stepped closer. "You're going to ruin this family." Gloria stood up. "No. I'm going to save it, from itself." The room fell silent. Janine turned and left without another word. Marie appeared in the hallway moments later, eyes red and furious. "Do you feel proud of yourself?" she asked, voice trembling. Gloria met her gaze without blinking. "No. But I feel like David would be." That night, Gloria sat in the study, hands resting over the folder. Outside, the wind knocked branches against the window like restless fingers. Inside, the house was finally beginning to settle. Not comfortably, not peacefully, but honestly. There were no illusions left. And that was a beginning. The envelope arrived on a Thursday. Crisp, ivory-colored, hand-delivered to the mailbox with a courier's sticker on the back. Gloria retrieved it mid-morning while watering the hydrangeas and recognized the sender immediately. Langley and Parks, attorneys at law. She carried it into the kitchen, set it gently on the counter, and continued watering the plants in the window. She didn't open it right away. She waited. She made tea. She wiped down the stovetop. Only after her hands stopped trembling did she sit down and slice it open. Inside was a single letter, addressed formally to both Gloria Callahan and Marie Callahan. Mr. Langley had written in his usual firm but courteous tone, citing the property agreement and the legal standing of both parties. The letter concluded with an invitation, a suggested meeting date to mediate and resolve the current dispute through legal conversation. Gloria read it twice, then tucked it back into its envelope and placed it in her folder. At dinner, she laid it on the table between her and Marie. "What's this?" Marie asked, not touching it. "Our lawyer," Gloria said. "He wants to meet with both of us." Marie glanced at the envelope, then away. "I don't need mediation. I already know my rights." "And I know mine," Gloria replied evenly. "Which is why you'll come." Marie's silence was answer enough. The night before the meeting, Gloria didn't sleep. She sat in the living room with a notebook on her lap, going over everything, her timeline, her records, the letter David had written. Not out of fear, but to prepare. She wanted her facts to be as unshakable as her spine had become. When morning came, she dressed carefully. A dark navy blazer over a pressed blouse. Modest earrings. Sensible shoes. Marie emerged in all black, like she was going to a second funeral. They arrived at Langley and Parks just before noon. The receptionist guided them to a windowed conference room with a round table and 3 chairs. Mr. Langley entered moments later, expression neutral, a leather binder tucked under one arm. "Thank you both for coming," he said, seating himself. "Let's begin." The discussion started civilly. Langley recapped the terms of the property ownership, reiterated the validity of David's deed transfer, and gently reminded them that without mutual agreement, the house could not be sold or leveraged. Marie interrupted often. "But I'm the widow," she insisted. "He left me everything else." "Not the house," Langley said calmly. "That was a separate decision. It was documented, signed, notarized, legal." "I have 2 children," Marie snapped. "They need security." "Security that David intended to provide through his mother," Langley countered. "He trusted her. That is what we are honoring." Marie turned to Gloria. "So what now? You sit here like a queen, and I just obey." "No," Gloria said softly. "We cooperate. But you don't get to erase me." Langley leaned forward. "There are options. Co-occupancy agreements. Conditional sale clauses. Shared equity models. But nothing moves without joint approval." Marie looked away. Her lips pressed tight. Her knuckles white around her purse. "I'll consider it," she said finally. "But don't think this makes us equals." "I don't need you to see me as equal," Gloria said. "I just need you to see me." The meeting adjourned with no final agreement, but a clear message had been delivered. Back home, the silence was different. Not hostile. Just full. Marie spent most of the afternoon in her room. Gloria, meanwhile, returned to the kitchen and began preparing a stew. That evening, as the aroma filled the house, the children wandered into the kitchen. One of them tugged at Gloria's sleeve. "Grandma, can you make the cornbread again? Like before?" Gloria smiled gently. "Of course." As they helped set the table, Marie appeared in the doorway, arms crossed, expression unreadable. She didn't say anything. She just watched for a long moment, then turned and left. But she didn't slam the door. That, Gloria thought, was a beginning too. The mediation did not end the conflict, it merely changed its form. The battlefield shifted from loud confrontations to passive-aggressive gestures, icy silences, and long, quiet looks across the dinner table. Marie stopped hiding her disdain, but she also stopped speaking of the house altogether. Gloria, for her part, continued to live fully in the space. She watered the plants. She repainted the hallway. She even fixed the loose banister David had always meant to get to. But the tension never left. It merely became quieter, tighter. One morning, Gloria discovered her clothes had been moved from the laundry room basket to the floor. Neatly folded towels were suddenly crumpled, as if disturbed on purpose. A set of documents she had been reviewing the night before were missing from the dining table. She found them tucked under a pile of junk mail, slightly bent. She didn't say a word. That same day, the real estate agent Marie had contacted weeks earlier rang the doorbell. "I'm here to take preliminary measurements," he said, clipboard in hand. "For what?" Gloria asked, arms crossed. "The listing," he said, glancing at his phone. "Marie booked me for a walkthrough." Gloria didn't invite him in. She called Mr. Langley instead. "That's a violation," Langley said. "She's acting without your consent. I'll draft a cease and desist." The letter was sent the next morning. Hand-delivered, like the last. Marie said nothing. She read it in the living room, her lips pressed together, then walked out of the house with her coat and car keys. She didn't return until after dark. But something had shifted. That weekend, Gloria attended a local support group at the community center. She didn't speak much, just listened. Most were older women like her. Some widowed. Some cast aside by family. Some, like her, living in the homes they'd paid for while being treated like trespassers. It wasn't catharsis she found there, it was clarity. She wasn't alone. She wasn't unreasonable. She was just finally standing where she had always belonged. When she came home, the dining table had been reset. Plates. Silverware. A pot of stew. Marie sat at the head, a glass of wine in hand, watching the children argue over their seats. Gloria approached cautiously. Marie looked up. "I made enough for everyone," she said. Gloria nodded slowly and sat. They ate in silence, but it wasn't angry. Just measured. Respectful. Later that night, Gloria sat in David's study, flipping through an old family photo album. There were pictures of David as a boy, Marie smiling beside him at a barbecue, the children as toddlers curled in Gloria's lap. The memories were still sharp. Still hers. She thought of the letter David had written, the care he had taken to plan for her safety. He had known. Somehow, he had known this storm would come. But what he may not have known was how strong his mother truly was. At dawn the next morning, Gloria rose early and made coffee. She sat in the kitchen, sipping slowly as sunlight filtered through the blinds. Across the table sat a new envelope. This one from Marie. It was unsealed. Inside was a handwritten letter. "Gloria, I was angry. I was scared. I was grieving and blind and selfish. But I see now that you were never the problem. You were the only one still holding this family upright. I can't undo what I've said or tried to do. But I want to move forward. No more agents. No more threats. Just coexistence. Just peace. If you'll still have it. Marie." Gloria set the letter down. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just felt still. Not as in quiet, but as in centered. David's wishes had not been in vain. His house still stood. And so did his mother. Spring came late that year. The trees bloomed hesitantly, as if unsure whether the cold had truly gone. Gloria moved through the house like someone waking from a long dream, cleaning windows, changing curtains, airing out rooms that had felt closed for far too long. Marie stayed true to her word. No more agents. No more threats. She made space without asking, knocked before entering Gloria's room, and began to take the children out more often, allowing quiet to return to the home in waves. They never sat down to discuss forgiveness. They didn't need to. Some things were too heavy for words. But the letter Marie had written remained in Gloria's drawer, beside David's, beneath the deed, pressed between the folds of memory and law. One afternoon, while preparing dinner, Gloria found herself humming. It had been years since she had done that. The tune belonged to no song in particular, just something she remembered singing while holding David in her arms, rocking him to sleep in a nursery that no longer existed. Marie came into the kitchen, paused in the doorway, and simply said, "Smells like something good." Gloria didn't stop stirring. "Chicken and rosemary. He liked it." Marie nodded. He did. They stood in silence for a few moments. Then Marie quietly took plates from the cupboard and began setting the table. Later, at dinner, the children laughed loudly over a spilled glass of juice. Gloria dabbed at the mess with a towel, and Marie rushed to help. No one was scolded. No one raised their voice. The room filled with warmth, not despite their past, but because of it. Gloria looked around the table and thought of how close she had come to being erased. Not just from the house, but from the narrative. From the very memory of David's home. And yet here she was. Not because she fought. Not because she shouted. But because she endured. That evening, Marie knocked gently on Gloria's door. "I've been thinking," she said, stepping in, "about your name." "My name?" Gloria asked, looking up from her knitting. "On the deed," Marie said. "I want the kids to know what that means. That their grandmother made this place possible. That their father honored you the way you deserved." Gloria smiled faintly. "Then show them. Teach them." Marie nodded. "I will." The next weekend, the entire family planted a magnolia tree in the backyard. It was Gloria's idea. He loved those, she'd said, remembering David's childhood fascination with the soft white petals. The children helped dig. Marie brought the mulch. Gloria placed the roots with care. They didn't mark it with a plaque. They didn't need to. Everyone would remember. Weeks later, Gloria sat on the back porch, the sun warm on her face, watching the leaves sway. Jared, one of the children, came out with a cup of water. "Here, Grandma," he said, handing it to her. "Thank you, sweetheart," she said, ruffling his hair. "Mom says you own the house," he added, as if reporting something newly discovered. Gloria chuckled. "We all do now. In a way." He nodded, satisfied, and ran back inside. Gloria leaned back and closed her eyes. The house had tried to forget her. But she had become unforgettable. She had stood still when others fled. She had spoken softly when others screamed. She had claimed her seat at the table without flipping it. And now, that seat was hers. Permanently. Not because she demanded it. Because she never gave it up.